The Force Within portrays harmony and friction involving Oriental and Mediterranean factions, both proficient at martial artistry, but one is dabbling in illicit dealings fronted by a nightclub. Do I need to fucking say it? Just look at this DVD cover. Just say no to drugs and this film, an astounding New York product from the director of Joe Spinell vehicle The Undertaker. The Force Within is simultaneously an incomprehensible Goodfellas knockoff as well as an incomprehensible vanity project of one Stuart Steele, who pulls off triple duty as co-screenwriter, executive producer, kung fu master bad dude with a heart of gold, who just so happens to be fucking underage prostitutes on the side. What is this film? Really? The awful VHS picture quality just helps the mood along as scuzzy low-angle stripper sequences play side by side against a ventriloquist who Jeff Dunham probably stole his act from, bridged together by a couple of acting grads and Jim Bunny Huns playing Gali with the audience. This is terrible. This is simply terrible. The fight sequences are forgettable, the cinematography is awful, though I can't really confirm that, and the acting is utter amateur hour. Apart from Mr. Steele, who gives it his all, which is not much, most likely fueled by the delusional notion that this was his big break. The sum of its parts definitely make up the whole in this case, as though there are some crazy moments here and there. The Force Within's terrible qualities are simply too many to handle. Even in HD, this film would be a slog. It's too indulgent and way too padded out. Maybe it has some New York charm, but this party is way dead, and Giuliani's footsteps echo in the background, much like this film's terrible sound design. In this dark take on the Snow White fairy tale, the growing hatred of a noble woman, secretly a practitioner of the dark arts, for her stepdaughter becomes abundantly clear, as well as the witch's horrifying attempts to kill her. An early example of a Hollywood gritty fairy tale, as well as being illustrative of the identity crisis of 90s cinema. Well, in general, A Tale of Terror tries to add realistic touches to Snow White, but also attempts to be an overtly Baroque adaptation. The result for me was something very underwhelming. The cinematography is bland, which probably played into why this film didn't secure a theatrical release, and overall for a Sigourney Weaver vehicle in the 90s, this film feels very small. The performances are not bad really, and the screenplay has its odd moments of fairy tale charm. However, there is something lacking here. I don't know why, but I was expecting more. More of a spectacle, more tighter a narrative, more scenes of Weaver going insane, which I thought were the best moments of the film. But overall, the film feels average. Apart from a barnstorming finale, none of the film feels truly cinematic, and I'm left struggling to remember any of it. Agent Nick Fury is asked to fight the menace of Hydra after exiling himself in the Yukon since the end of the Cold War. Probably as a bid, along with the Roger Corman produced Fantastic Four, to hold on to the movie rights for the Marvel Universe, the Stan Lee executive produced Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a TV movie from 1998 that plays out like Baywatch meets The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Utter 90s kitsch that's a swift kick to the balls of any modern Marvel fan. At least that's what I thought until I read the online reviews for this. Unfortunately for this film, however, I am not a fan of 90s miniseries. For those appreciating a more campy approach to comic book films, Nick Fury 98 will be your bag. I imagine then, if that's what you're looking for, you can also look over the basic cinematography, the cliched story, and the Power Rangers acting. I cannot fault Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. for choosing a tone and sticking with it, but I can only feel that the film is tired and dated for it. This is very much a product of the 90s and definitely a product of Hasselhoff's post-Baywatch typecasting. It's an appropriate performance and the best in the film, definitely, but it's still the Hoff and your mileage may vary. Nick Fury 98 is an okay late 90s TV action movie filled with camp and underwhelming action sequences. Recommending this to Hasselhoff fans and fans of pre-Christopher Nolan comic book films. Okay, conclusion time. The Force Within is a terrible direct-to-video martial arts film from the wreckage of early 90s New York. Snow White, A Tale of Terror is a mediocre dark take on the fairy tale, and Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. is 90s comic book kitsch that for some might retain some nostalgia value. Goodbye.